Bandari, a graduate student from Industrial Engineering Department, OSU, and serving as a student lead for OSU Industrial Training and Assessment Center. Also, I am president of AWE Oklahoma Student Chapter. We have our esteemed panelists here. Susmita Singh, Program Coordinator of Women for Energy Efficiency Team at Rutgers Center for Advanced Energy System. Dr. Sheila Youngblood, Dean of School of Mathematics and Engineering at Tulsa Community College. Dr. Frankie Woodblack, Division Chair of Engineering, Physical Science and Process Technology at Northern Oklahoma College. Kyla M. Nath, Principal of Vesta Strategic Solution and Oklahoma Renewable Energy Council Managing Director at Oklahoma Renewable Energy Council. Dr. Susmita Hazra, Associate Professor of Physics at Cameron University. So, welcome you all. So, today's discussion is about professional resource and organization for student development. I have some few questions here for our esteemed panelists, and then we will have discussion with audience. So let's start with the first question. Are you all ready? So the first question is, what are the most influential professional organizations in the energy sector that students should be aware of?
Can you hear me now? Okay. So regarding the professional society in the energy sector, I would think Association of Energy Engineers, then we have National Society of Professional Engineers, we have for Mechanical Engineer, we have ASME. Other than that, and also I forgot about IEEE PES. Other than that, being from Cameron University, where we are a regional state university, we have our physics, engineering, and chemistry department all are combined. So we have regularly like events like engineering club, chemistry club. So we always have like professional development events together. Apart from that, we have honor society like Phi Kappa Phi, Sigma Pi Sigma, all these. That also we always discuss very emerging topic and related to energy as well.
So from the renewable energy side, and I have to say, I just leaned over to Dr. Black here, I feel completely out of my depth, got me a PhD sitting here. For the renewable energy industry, the one that comes to mind for me particularly deals with women. It's the women in renewable industries and sustainable technologies. It's called WaterRise. It started about 20 years ago as the Women of Wind Energy because women and minorities are way underrepresented, particularly in science, engineering, and technologies. And it was a means for women within the wind energy industry at the time to really kind of connect and grow and help each other out and advance their careers. The organization has state chapters. We've been working for some time to try to get one here in Oklahoma. And with the advent of solar technologies, battery, other sustainable industries, it's evolved into that renewable energy. The wonderful thing they do, for instance, this week happening right now is one of the national energy conferences out in Anaheim, California called RE+. They sponsor 5 upcoming students that are either PhD, masters, undergraduate students, pay for their way to attend that conference, arrange job interviews, meet and greets, fully connect them into the industry. They host a number of different workshops, how to build your resume, how to write cover letters, and then connect with peers in the industry as mentors. Wire-Rise is the best one that I can think of from the renewable energy and industry side. Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a different tack. What I would tell students is get involved in any professional organization. It doesn't matter. Because your professional organization is going to broaden your network. It is going to put you in contact. Right now, as we heard this morning, we're dealing with wicked problems, which means we have to get out of our silos. I'm a physicist by training, but my home professional society is the American Chemical Society, one of the largest ones in the country, professional society. And the reason is we did local, regional, national, and have a whole host of events. I've been a member of AICHE, which is the Chemical Engineering Society. There's a lot of women type organizations underneath that. But it's being a member of any professional society is going to be helpful. Sigma Xi is a multidisciplinary one. It is kind of an honor society, science and technology one. But even going to the local Rotary Club, going to your Toastmasters, going to any of those local organizations, even to your church organization. Those are places to learn critical work skills at low stakes. You want to learn about finance? Become the treasurer for your local club. You want to learn about speaking? Go being able to do other things. So it doesn't really matter which professional society, just participate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all those things, and just I'm coming from more of like an ITAM perspective, but I think that all those are great things, but I think someone else mentioned AEE and places like ASHRAE, anywhere that does a conference even like this, just where students can network with professionals but also with other ITAC students, I think is important. An example of this is AEE, there's a conference in 2 weeks' time, and one of the things that the ITAC is doing is really a lead student meeting. So every ITAC has like a leader, a head student, and we're kind of piggybacking off of AEE, and all the students can meet each other in professional or in an in-person setting, meet with other students, and it's the day before AEE, and then the day after that go and network with industry professionals. So that way it's like they can network with other students that have similar experiences to them, that are from other ITACs that, you know, do something similar but in a different way, that also go and talk to the industry professionals. So I feel like conferences are like a good place to network.
I think you can probably move on to the second question, because I think we've answered everything.
Okay. So next question is, how can students maximize the resources offered by these organizations, such as networking events, mentorship programs, and industry publications?
So I'll start with that one, and I think some of those topics were sort of already hit on also. But the reality is, when you think about maximizing what the impact of those organizations can be, it's truly about getting involved, right? Whether that means presenting a poster, whether that means literally just being in attendance, whether that means joining the club so that you can just gain some experience with other students that are in your particular institution. In the grand scheme, it has everything to do with the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. If you don't put much in, you're not going to get a lot of networking opportunities out of it, right? If you just really engulf yourself in the experience, and probably more experiences, right? So multiple organizations, multiple conferences, try a leadership role, try a steering role where you get to be involved in actually setting up the conference, right? You learn more. We often learn more as students when we teach. Okay, the same thing is true in conferences and professional societies. If you get really involved so that you're the one that's leading it on some level, then you're going to gain even more from that experience.
And I'll echo on that. If you put into it, your education is what you put into it. We're facilitators as educators. We're just primarily facilitators. We provide the opportunity, but that opportunity can lead to other opportunities down the way. You might meet someone, they say, come take a tour of this facility. Well, go take the tour. Take the time to take the tour. Because you're going to see something that you may or may not know about. We do benchmarking tours all the time of other industries. You can take ideas from one industry and bring them back to another. those opportunities, the more you put into it, the more opportunities you get. And we've seen that over and over again. I just took a group of students because they participated in a competition, they won, and so we ended up at Kennedy Space Center. In the back, we got to see manufacturing facilities of Blue Origin, got to see SpaceX, got to see a lot of different things. So you put into it, you participate, and opportunities will come. And you need folks to say, hey, you can go, there's a scholarship over there, or there's internship opportunity. Or my very first job was, my boss wanted me to interview, trying to prove that they needed a person in that area. And it was just that he said, come in, there's no job. I said, fine, I needed to practice. So those are the things that we can do.
I think my main thought is people, meeting people, building a network. You cannot underestimate what it means to come to events like this, to attend certain organizations, to talk with speakers about building your network. That is what will change your life. Because those are the people that are going to help you review your resume, are going to take you through practice interview questions, may find positions for you. You never know who you might run into them 5 years later and be like, oh my gosh, great to see you. Oh, what are you up to? Oh, you know what? I've got this job over here. So that to me, in a world today where so much is done digitally, you cannot underestimate what meeting people face to face, making that impression, making that personal connection can do for you, both personally and professionally.
I would like to add here that most of our students at Cameron are from very smaller high schools where they don't get much exposure. Like classroom sizes are, some of them even under 10. So when they come to undergrad in a college, the setting is different, and most of them are actually first generation college students, didn't get much exposure. So myself being a first generation college student, navigating through the career in college and professional development, it could be challenging. So I always encourage them to get involved outside their coursework, whether it's just the professional development club or undergraduate research. While saying the undergraduate research, I would like to mention that several students have worked with me over the years, and they have presented like in a state conference, regional conference, up to the national conference. And over the time, it is so rewarding to see them, how their confidence have improved. That the networking, communication, not only they learn technical skills, but as well as non-technical skills. This is definitely helpful.
I agree with you all. And I want to share some. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you mentioned mentorship programs. So one of the things that We Squared does is a mentorship program where we partner current ITAC students. We Squared is our acronym for Energy Efficiency Network. But it's We Squared for short. It was We, W-E-E, but then our director didn't like that, so we're now We Squared. But we basically partner current ITAC students with industry professionals for one academic year, so from September till like March, April-ish. And together they work on things like resume building, interview prep, that kind of thing. And something that we like to do is every month we host, since our students are all over the nation, our mentorship program is mostly virtual. So we host virtual events that are kind of professional development events that are like, how can I get an FE or a PE or just energy related things, or even just something simple as what type of energy certifications exist that students can attain. And just being part of our We Squared network, but more importantly our mentorship program, we offer a lot of resources that are tailored to the needs of both the students and the mentors, the industry professionals. And then just circling back to what you said about networking events, like AEE this year, I think this upcoming year we're going to ASHRAE in the spring, and we usually sponsor some of our mentors from our mentorship program to attend these conferences and just kind of help spread the word about We Squared and that kind of thing. But just a short success story that I'll give you was we went to ASHRAE earlier this year, and there are some conferences that students have never heard of. So one of our mentees wasn't too familiar with the ASHRAE conference, and her mentor actually went to ASHRAE and as part of a sponsor for We Squared, and it ended up being in ASHRAE's in Chicago, the students from Chicago. So she just ended up attending that conference and finding out that she could submit papers, and she learned more about the conference from doing that. And sometimes it literally is just the mentor having an opportunity to meet in person, or seeing your mentor do something, or being somewhere near you where you kind of network with them. And meeting virtually is one thing, but meeting in person where it's just like, let's go for lunch and have it's a more informal than, okay, your Zoom meeting today will be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's nicer to see that. And also something we emphasize in our mentorship program is that I feel like a lot of mentorship programs emphasize your mentor has a lot to teach your mentee, but something that we have learned from doing our mentorship program is sometimes the mentors learn a lot from the current students, and what the current struggles are with current students now that maybe they were students 10, 15 years ago, as new things change in the energy industry or just with students in general. But I feel like it's really important to understand that mentors can learn as much, if not more, from their mentees as mentees can learn from mentors or professionals.
Yes, it's just mentioned that I was also part of that W Square mentorship program, and I was a mentee there, and I have a mentor from San Francisco, and she was also an alumni of University of Florida. She was from IAC, and we had a lot of conversation. We used to have a monthly meeting with our mentor, and it was quite fruitful for me. That session was quite fruitful for me regarding the professional development and the career advice session also, and it helps. So moving on to the next question. So how can students find mentors through professional organization, and what impact can mentorship have on their career development?
I think that was already partially answered right here quite well, right? But I would say in general, if a student is interested in a mentor, the first thing they need to do is reach out to that organization. So if you're involved in an organization, there's going to be some sort of contact, right? And if you're not involved in a particular organization yet, then your contact should be, your first line of contact should be probably your favorite faculty member, right? Maybe your faculty advisor. It depends on the institution and how that's set up. But your faculty is where you go first, because those folks are going to be able to connect you to the right organization and then get you to the person who's going to be able to connect you to the mentor, right? And in doing that, it's going to give you those opportunities that you're able to build on that you were discussing. Every organization has mentor-mentee opportunities. So if you're a female, which we all are, you're welcome. The last panel is all females, okay? I think that deserves a shout out. Regardless, whether you're female, whether you're male, depending on what particular area in the industry that you're in, there are going to be organizations which will have mentor-mentee programs. It really depends on how deep you want to get into it. Is your mentor somebody that you want to be in a collegiate standpoint? So is your goal to become a PhD and you want to work in an institution? Well, then you probably want to have a mentor that's currently working in an institution, right? If your goal is to be in industry, then you really want to have a mentor, just like you were talking about, that's in industry. So you want to think about that too, and make sure that your pathway with the proper and the best opportunity that's going to fit what your need is and what your goal is.
With mentors, you don't have to limit yourself to just one. I have mentors that help me in different areas because we all have different skill sets. So you don't have to limit yourself to just one mentor. I also would like to highlight that there's not just a mentor-mentee relationship. Those are kind of long-term, those get established. And those of us who have a little more gray hair, sometimes we can mentor up as well. If she had mentioned, sometimes we learn more from our mentees than we do the other. If you're trying to learn how to do social media, I'm not the expert, but I know people who are. So those are things that you do. But there's also the time where you come to a conference and you have an opportunity to talk to someone in the field and have those conversations, have those questions ready, because you can get gains of knowledge and wisdom from a one or two opportunity meet. And that's very, very helpful. Whereas a mentor-mentee relationship is a little longer term. But using those opportunities, I got to speak with several folks from different industries, and we got to talk about a variety of career issues. We got to talk about a variety of scientific issues, and it was a 1 or 2 time event. And so that's another thing to think about.
Regarding the mentorship, I saw that AE website has a very extensive mentor program, like 6 months, and it starts every year March till August. Apart from that, I would like to mention that Cameroon, our being a smaller university, we have really good alumni connections. Our students, the past students who graduate, they often are invited to attend the events and all, and they are often they are very willing to help our current student talking about their professional life and what helped them and how they serve as a mentor to them. They are always willing to do that. I think that's our great resource. In our department website, we put a list of those students with contact information. We connect them with our current students. And sometimes they are like, if they cannot come, we ask them to make a short video, what they are doing, like 1-minute video. They are so creative and so helpful in doing that. And I often find our students love to connect the students from the same department. It's been very helpful for their career.
So moving on to the next question, it's regarding the certification. So what role do professional organizations play in offering the certification or continuing education opportunities?
Certification, as we see, several professional organization websites listed their certifications. Some of them are lesser price for the students. Apart from that, I would like to mention about micro-credentials and digital badges. These become very popular nowadays. Micro-credentials are like competence-based skills. They are embedded in the course or could be a smaller workshop. So, and then the students get we need to also get the endorsement from the industry. And this is really helpful because the students not only get that micro-credential, they get the digital badge which you could share in their portfolio or share in LinkedIn. Currently, upskillok.org has listed all the micro-credentials across the state, and I see there are several of them in engineering, electrical design, AI, data science, several of them. Recently, our department, actually, I initiated that there are 2 micro-credentials were accepted. One of them is undergraduate research, another one is STEM ambassador. So,
I will just very quickly say, because I don't have much to offer, other than from a professional side of things, think outside the box and outside what your pathway is. So my primary area of work has to do with a lot of energy policy, and I have a Lean Six Sigma certification. You'd be like, why in the world do you have that? Well, it's for a certain position I had previously, it helped me understand the client better. So don't just get focused in on those professional certifications that might have an absolutely direct tie. Think outside the box. Ask that why question, like a 5-year-old or my 8-year-old.
Yeah, so for certifications, that's where your mentor's going to help you out because there are a host of them out there. And you need them for certain things, but on the other hand, you don't need them for certain things. I'm old enough to not have been grandfathered into professional engineering, getting my professional engineering licensure. So basically all that does for me is that I can't sign off on engineering drawings. But I was an environmental scientist, so I have a registered environmental manager certification. There's now an energy certification underneath that. There's various auditing certifications. If you're in the quality world, there's a ton of quality certifications out there. Fire safety, industrial hygiene, all of those things are there depending on the career field that you're in. All of them will help you. They show that you've learned the skill, and that's what makes them useful. But on the other hand, you also know that you end up working with other folks. Studying for those credentials, though, that's another story. I've actually studied for a couple of the tests just to get that skill set. So it's definitely work with your mentors, definitely work with your areas, and look at the various certifications that are going to be helpful, and the ones that are going to be recognized by the industry that you're working in.
So I'll come from a different angle real quick and just say that certifications, degrees, all of these things, in theory, should be stackable, right? And they should be in an area that will benefit you. But don't get caught up in that. The reality is, it's okay to not have a plethora of certifications if you have the knowledge base, right? If what you're doing is just crossing a T and dotting an I, it's not a reason to do it. If you're getting a certification because it's actually going to benefit you in that particular field, then do it. But if it's just something else that you're wanting to put behind your name, don't do it for that reason. That's not the right motivation, right? So make sure your motivation is in check, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. But make sure your motivation is in check, because the last thing you want to do is have all of these certifications, but you don't really have the skill set or the knowledge base. You just studied for the exam, you got the cert, you can say you have it, but then when you go into that interview and they want to ask you questions about your quality certification or your Lean Six Sigma certification, and you're like, I did that 12 years ago and I don't remember. You don't want that, right? So anything you put on a resume, make sure you can still speak to and you can still articulate well what your knowledge base is and why it matters.
Yes, that's correct. So, Sus, do you want to share anything else?
No, those pretty much.
Okay. So, now talking about the student chapter. So, we have different student chapter in every university regarding, like you said earlier, ASME, like AEE kind of thing. So, how can students get involved in local or campus chapters of professional organization, and what are the benefits of active participation?
I kind of think we covered that. It's up to the student to reach out and see what is available at their particular institution or in their general area. For example, us at Northern Oklahoma College, our larger neighbor from the state, we actually have cross-fertilization between student activities. So it's really just taking the initiative and getting involved. Move on to the next question.
If you want the next question. But I want to add something on this matter. So we have formed AEE Oklahoma student chapter in Oklahoma State University, and we are focusing on promoting the energy efficiency and sustainability within the academic institution. So we have different programs like lunch and learn program, where we invite like different companies like ES2. Will Gibson came in our event and he told about us the different thing about building automation system, and we get to learn about that, and we get clarity from 820 solar company, and it was also a fruitful session for us, and there are lots of podcast session where students can get the knowledge about energy sector, and so we also host that kind of networking sessions, activities, and it helps. Yeah. And talking about the next question. So, what challenges might students face in assessing the professional resources and organization, and how can these barriers be overcome?
Well, for our students, the challenge is first of all knowing what's out there. It's really hard not to know what you don't know, and that's really a challenge. And one of the things that we know right now is we have communication challenges, getting information about conferences, getting information about organizations. We don't have the regular news channel anymore where you can highlight things. Our information is very disparate, very diverse, very out there. So students are really going to have to work with their mentors, work with their faculty, pay attention to what kind of role is by. Institutions we're having a lot more challenges on getting information out and attending conferences and just using your network.
I'll say, to me, often the challenge is the cost, for students, right? And so my suggestion to any student or anyone who works with students out there is find a way to mitigate that, right? So whether that's through a grant, whether that's through support funding, whatever that looks like, a student should never feel that the cost is the reason that they can't attend. But I know back in my day, which was a few years ago, that certainly was a concern, right? And so making sure that we are providing opportunities so that students have free experiences, not that the experience is free, but that they're not the one that's footing the bill, I think it's extremely important. So from a student perspective, be willing to ask for that. If you find something that you're interested in and you really want to go to your mentor, go to your faculty advisor, go to the vice president of whatever, go find it, right? Go to the place that you're currently interning and ask the question. I think so often, especially since COVID, the fear for folks in general is having that literal conversation with someone and asking them, can you help me in this way? Be willing to ask. That's a huge barrier, but as soon as you take that first step, it doesn't feel so terrible the next time, right? So be willing to ask for that assistance. That is the beginning of what partnerships look like, and you're going to have those in industry. So it really is just setting you up for success as you move forward. Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with you, Dr. Young, that the cost, we do definitely help them by writing grant and helping them going to the conferences, getting membership for this professional society. Apart from that, I also noticed, particularly after COVID, many of our students are working for 2 jobs and they are like, oh, we don't have time after the classroom and my job, other family responsibilities. Time is also a factor. And also another thing, our students mostly are rural students, don't get much exposure, and this is like getting out of their comfort zone to go to a meeting, networking. So as a faculty advisor, and also I'm teaching a seminar course, so one of the assignment is that they have to join a society or like find out about the society, what benefits are, and talking in the class to the other students as well. So these are the different ways we try to help the students.
So sometimes it's also the clothing, right? Back to a cost. That's something that we found. I was just thinking about what you were saying, Dr. Hazra. We used to take students to the Women in Leadership Conference in Oklahoma City, and clothing often can be an issue. At TCC, we have a clothing closet. My guess is that's probably the case at a lot of other places too. I know OSUC has a clothing closet as well. I assume that works for men as it does women, but I don't know since I'm not one, but I would guess that they have men's clothing in there too. And so again, going back to that idea, just ask. If you don't have what you need, don't be embarrassed. We all were there at some point, right? And the other thing is, y'all, Goodwill's got a lot of great stuff. It's all right. You can go there and get a $3 shirt and it's gonna look good behind the tie.
Thank you for your answers. So, talking about the next question. So, how can students transition from being student members of professional organization to active, long-term participants as they advance in their career?
That's just understanding your organization. The American Chemical Society has pathways, their divisions, their technical divisions can actually help students move from being a student member into a professional member. There's lots of scholarship opportunities for different things. It's just going to depend on the specific organization that the student is working with. It's a cost to jump, but even now the American Chemical Society is actually looking at membership costs, that we're trying to have different options to reduce that cost, and it's almost using a menu of services. So if I'm not using all of the services, I don't have to pay the full cost. But again, the technical divisions, technical groups, some companies, it comes back and forth to some companies, some benefactors, some grants. There are a number of ways it comes back to asking the question.
Yeah, I would also recommend even part of like salary negotiations when you're sitting in a job interview. That is a benefit, continuing education, certifications, membership in organizations, because by being able to be a member of certain organizations, that's a benefit you bring to that company and to that job. So again, never be afraid to ask. The worst thing they're going to tell you is no, and then you're no different than where you were before.
Anyone else wants to answer this? So I have the last question for our panel session. So how can GPCoE contribute to student development?
I'll start. Well, one of the things that our Great Plains Center of Excellence is doing is we have a lot of partners, and our partners are going to be able to work with feeding in at different levels. So I'm at Northern Oklahoma College. We are dealing with freshmen and sophomore students. We're getting them into the program to even start thinking about sustainability, start thinking about, I've got architecture students, I have pre-engineering students, and we get them into starting to look at things. We also are probably in the community, so we can work with the community, and we start talking to students in high schools and feeding up. Then what happens is, once they leave us as sophomores going into their junior year, they're going to go to somebody else as part of our organization. And eventually they'll become graduate students or student professionals. And so this group pulling together is tying in that network so that we can have a general pathway all the way from middle school all the way up that they can get involved.
I'll just say really quick, I think the one thing that excites me about the Great Plains Center of Excellence is its broad spectrum, its broad geographic reach. I think so oftentimes you can get stuck in, okay, where are we doing in Oklahoma, what's this? It's a very big world and big country out there, and I think being able to cross the different states, being able to cross different regions from a professional standpoint, you're talking about covering different electrical grids, and so there's a lot of different experiences that the different regions of the country are going to be able to bring in as part of those pathways.
I would like to add here that we offer, for example, chemistry major, physics major, and associate engineering degree at Cameroon, but none of this degree actually teaches renewable energy or any courses related to that. So in our seminar course, I offered a short-term research on renewable energy. Students need to find out to research about different areas of renewable energy, and it was so. I was so glad to witness their very intense discussion, how interested they were. They are not aware of all these opportunities or what science behind that and all. So I would like to recommend that if you are doing any outreach activities with the undergrad students, not even undergrad students, even K-12 schools in southwestern Oklahoma, educate them about the renewable energy sustainability, that would be great. Or if you could embed some micro-credentials or some structures workshop for the students, which could be offered as a micro-credential for our students, like in our department, chemistry, physics, as well as engineering, that would be very, very helpful.
So I'm at TCC, and we also just received a DOE grant, a planning grant to develop an ITAC in Tulsa. And so along with that, we are absolutely partnering now in a very direct way with the Great Plains Center of Excellence. And so how is that going to impact our students, or what can the Great Plains Center of Excellence do to impact our students? And I think that's super, super simple and also incredibly fast. Simple in the sense of just the interaction with the Great Plains Technology Center is going to allow our students, and prior to that, during this planning period, it's going to allow our staff to be able to develop a really robust curriculum, which will impact our students, hopefully, within our current degree programs, because the idea is we're going to mesh that into some of the programs and certificates that we already have. But also, the goal is to address our adult learners. So folks that are already out there in industry that want to upskill what their job opportunities are, or maybe just what another credential could look like. So we're really going to try to take this from two different angles, and we absolutely believe that Great Plains are going to be able to assist us through all of those.
I'll just add on to that quickly that something that I was really amazed about here today, just this whole conference, was that with our mentorship program, we Squared as a whole, it's like very virtual. We don't do a lot of things in person. And something that just kind of shocked me was that I honestly, like 2 or 3 people at this conference came up to me like, oh, there's a mentorship program, like, I know you through your email, but like, we never met face to face. And I think that's something like the networking opportunities that the Great Plains Center of Excellence has is really just like unmatched.
So I would like to have some questions from audience.
Question for all of you. All of you are from educational institutes. Now, what I find in the real world is, you may be looking at me and I have the, you think I know it all. I really do. There are areas that there are gaps. So what programs and what focus do you guys have to get us up to speed on even doing our job better? Because whatever we studied in college is like 50 years ago.
So that is a big piece of what Tulsa Community College does, and I think community colleges in general and also tech centers, right? We have so many opportunities to upskill the adult population to come back. When you're in industry, you need to gain a greater skill, learn a new equipment, whatever the case may be. We have amazing faculty who work with our industry partners to find out what is that gap, and then how do we address it in a time frame that works for those industry professionals. So there are some folks at TCC that we're currently working with that, based on what their schedule is, our faculty department chair has situated himself such that he offers those upskilling courses on a Thursday and Friday because that's what works for their schedule. So that is something that makes a community college and a tech center beautifully placed because we're very versatile and we're able to be agile in ways that larger institutions often can't be, but we truly can form a training to exactly the need of what that particular industry has.
So even though my title says that I'm at Northern Oklahoma College, I spent 25 years in industry. I was doing sustainability for oil and gas and natural gas and environmental air and sustainability. So I came back to education to help with just that issue. How do we keep our workforce viable? How do we keep our workforce working out? So part of the Center of Great Plains, or part of our center, is we're going to be offering workshops. We're in the current planning of a business workshop for our Enid community to be able to have that and make it available to all industry members. The micro-credentialing is something that we're looking at. One of the things that we found working with our wind energy partners, and Nell has been one of them, and Blue Energy and several of the other wind energy partners, if you wanted a data analyst for your wind farm, you had to go to Massachusetts to get one. And we brought in data analytics classes that anybody can take, and we're trying to get a micro-credential for the data analytics. So we're trying to work with those industry partners to develop whatever is their gap or what they see as a gap. Doing testing, we're bringing in drones at Northern Oklahoma College for inspection purposes, being able to do inspection for energy audits, being able to do it as part of equipment, all of those pieces. So basically, if you have a need in industry, come talk to us. Because one of the things that the community college can do is we can bring in a class that's a workforce development class, working with our energy partners, get you the micro-credential that you need. And if that means we're working on Saturday, that means we're working on Saturday. That means we're working in all my wind energy classes, all my process technology classes, they're evening classes in order to meet the working student.
I will offer as a non-academic person on this panel. The role of a group like the Oklahoma Renewable Energy Council as a statewide nonprofit organization is to make those connections as well. So if we hear from our members within the renewable energy industry, we have this gap, data analytics or something that's like, hey, we know who to connect folks to, is to be that conduit within that. And I think that's a role these professional organizations can play as well, is identifying and kind of seeing where those larger national kind of trends are happening, even to get out ahead, and then being able to connect into local university, community college, tech center partners, to have those conversations to get those programs set up to, again, keep ahead of game on
You have been wonderful, and what you do is actually a very useful segment for workforce development. And the gaps that I see all over the country is people going to their job and then they have shortcomings that makes it very stressful and challenging to them. So on one side, we are focused on developing our young to become capable. But then we have a mass workforce that goes to work probably stressed out, even driving to work. You gave a very good example about drones and photography. Now, there are jobs that people are doing, thousands of people doing the same thing, and they're trying to figure out how to get to various locations through traffic jams and through all that stuff. They probably don't even know that they could use drones for their photography and for whatever. The solar industry is pretty good because they're using Google and satellite and stuff like that to look at how the buildings look and even measure and take measurements. But the point is facility maintenance, facility management, actually applying the polytechnics and the community colleges are actually what people are looking towards. And I work with the industry and the companies, and the companies want to pay you to teach their employees what they need to know to come to work. I'm happy to discuss that with you guys on that, because the companies no longer want to pay for an entire undergraduate program or a 2-year program or a 4-year program, because after they complete, they come back to work and they still don't know what's going on. So these are some of the things that there are a lot of people here that could also have a tremendous need, and we can probably identify some of those areas, and it would really help me with all the clients and companies I work with and come across. They want to know who can do this, who can do that, what can we do to learn something else. Like you're trying to do renewable energy, or you're trying to do energy efficiency, you're trying to do something related to sustainability. But here's the problem. The people who are in that building or in the office don't know how to interface it, how to integrate it. And she mentioned about cost in terms of dollars. There is another bigger cost in terms of time.
So I just want to respond to that real fast. Literally last week, Friday, Thursday, I can't remember which one it was, Don, we were in one of our local industries in Tulsa. And so that's the ask, right? Is they asked us, these are the things that we need. How can you go about providing that for us? Do we need to come to your campus? Can you come here? So I think even more so to your point, the question is how can tech centers and community colleges, Franklin Center of Excellence, the acronym, right? And other areas, how can we go into industry and provide that training? And so it's one thing to expect that the industry is going to come to us and ask. It's another, which is probably the better opportunity for us to sort of develop what is our laundry list of capabilities and to go to industries and say, could these things benefit you? And can we do it remotely on your site? Can we come to you? Because that barrier often is the time and the ability to have them come to where you are.
And I want to respond to that as well, because we actually at Northern Oklahoma College, and I'm sure TCC has them as well, there are programs that are based off of national certifications. If you have, and we've had a long time partnership with OG&E, where if they have gone through their electric apprenticeship, then we can give them, they can come in for an associate's degree. We've worked with helping some of our wind energy companies to take some of their operation management folks to get them those degree or those qualifications so that they could go on for their bachelor's degree. And I have given the class where the guy has been up in the nacelle on his cell phone taking a physics class. So we have abilities to work with the different industries to come in and work on their side and vice versa. It's just a matter of us figuring out and getting to know who needs that help and support. Our data analytics class is completely online. Our computer programming class is taught in the evenings, and it's all trying to get folks that are having those challenges that they have to have with the work.
I just want to add on to what Panel is saying. I think traditionally university is designed for moving forward, right? We never went back and say what industry wants. Department of Energy is looking at that problem very seriously. I think I'm talking here from UAE as well. We have these ITEX in last 40 years. We have it, right? We done lots of energy, right? We save so much of money. But still the issue of workforce development is not solved. So they come up with the idea saying like, why don't we go back in the roots? That's why they started with the community college, technical college, even the high school level, like how we can show a pathway to go to the energy side, right? It's a big ask, right? University is designed differently, but now we are looking at differently from last 5-6 years, saying that, okay, how do you partner with the community college? And look at the person. I mean, Adil asked the question about the person is already, like, I didn't learn, they're already working somewhere. But they change in a manner that they are like, their growth is like a horizontal now. They cannot go further. How we can provide a professional development, right? That's where the community college plays a big role, throwing a class, maybe going there. That's what the over push for greater center of excellence is like. Maybe the expert like here, maybe pick up as a teacher. Community college is a platform, or maybe university is a platform, teach the class and give that extra things which has the experience as well as the knowledge. And it helps everyone. And that's become a ask for everyone here in the table, here in the conference, basically asking, push a little bit more, right? You are already expert, help us on developing some of the courses, developing that stuff. You already know that this might be the new challenge, just help us on that, right? Maybe a job title, we don't even know it exists now, but we are creating a new job. Maybe a new title, maybe you say AI matching with the energy efficiency something, right? We can say, okay, how do you drone automatically do this? Maybe a calculation automatically done by someone. How the report is created by ChatGPT, which is helpful for some of the items, right? That's exactly what the purpose of Greater Center of Excellence is, to connect the dots. How we connect that. And I think every single one, I really appreciate all the women here, right? We don't have women in energy engineers, and here you go. Right? All the women here, we want you, right? Because these advantaged communities need that. Our region is also very popular resort. It's all rural. There's very less population, very less poverty on that as well. We need to reach out to that person. I think you reach out to saying that how we go to 30 states. I think Kyla mentioned about like, that's the main purpose. Like we're doing it in Oklahoma, how we can duplicate it in other states. Right? So thank you so much.
I want to add on a little bit to that because you went there. I actually think Adil, you went kind of, okay, professional. I'm going backwards. I think you guys have got to be in the elementary schools to start getting a hold of kids. My 7th grader last year came home doing CAD and to do 3D printing at his STEM class at school. You know, he's doing C++, I forget which one. No, I mean Fortran. No, it's surely not Fortran. But it's Python. I swear he said Fortran, and I'm like, there's no way. Fortran sucks. Bad memories. But, you know, he's 12, 13, and he's doing Python. And this is where kids, they need to see the applications then, because I am now, my son is an 8th grader and 13 years old, about to turn 14. In this next 2 months, we have to decide, well, frankly, no, we went back last year. We had to decide his math pathway. If he started in his honors math class last year, that will get him in calculus in high school. If he did not start that then, he wasn't going to do that to then set him up for college. Now, that's a whole different handle of what I think personally about that, the fact that we're already kind of forcing kids into such pathways. But there is such a lack of energy efficiency, sustainability, renewable energy industries, and they're doing better. You have the Kid Wins program, they're trying to get out there, but you've got to start in elementary schools. And it's got to start there, then getting kids in the junior high to be doing these large sustainability projects, building sustainable cities, getting them in your engineering firms at Guernsey, you know, have them shadow you. Summer programs, one of my life-changing experiences was attending a summer program at Texas Women's University in Denton, Texas. I spent 2 weeks on the college campus taking classes in colleges. You know, wanted to see that happen here in Oklahoma. I think that's a way, it's a way to get you ingrained and to show you different pathways. So.
You guys are a great man, so thank you so much.
I'm just gonna add one thing, and this is a call to you students that are out there. It's your job to get involved in this also. If we want to see things change in the K-12 system, we need you as college students going back in, partnering with the opportunities that your colleges are giving to have outreach events in those high school, in those middle schools, and in those elementary schools. They don't want to see us, y'all. We're not cool anymore, okay? We are who they want to see. They want to see you because you're actively in there. You're doing it. You can talk about your senior design projects. You can talk about the cool stuff that you're doing. And having you be there with them, hands-on, makes all the difference in the world. Susmita, Dr. Hasser, and I for years have been doing outreach and retention events across the state. And part of that involves our high school and our college students coming back and giving to, pouring into those middle school and elementary school kids. So this is your call to action. We need to see you in the classroom too.
I would like to add just one little piece of that. So, you guys have talked about K-12 involving students in this kind of activities. I would say next event, the Center of Excellence should invite high schoolers, and I see one high schoolers in here is really passionate about it. That gave me the idea that you should involve these high schoolers in this kind of event so they get exposed to this kind of information, and then they can decide what path they are to choose. So we can start from there.
Any other questions from the audience?
So we talked a little bit about motivating the workforce. I'm really glad we got here kind of towards the end yesterday a lot. You all work with a lot of students, mentors, in classes, all that sort of stuff. I was wondering if you could ground that conversation a little bit more in terms of how do we motivate students into energy efficiency, into energy management, into clean energy. I think we got into that a little bit like thinking really early on. But especially like extra points if there's anything around increasing the accessibility to those pathways, because I think sometimes that's a major barrier to creating a diverse group who's in this industry.
So for us at Northern, one of the ways that we're trying to do it is we've got a vice president who's very, very active with our local area school, particularly on our Enid campus. And we are actually actively working with the tech center in Enid, and we're actively working with Enid High School. And what that's doing is it's starting to bring in more students that are more excited about looking at a variety of different careers. And I will tell you, when I first started at Northern, which was 10 years ago, if I saw one person that said they were heading electrical or electrical technician, I maybe saw one or two those first 2 years. Half of my group now that's coming in are looking at electrical technicians, instrumentation. So something has happened, and I think it's more of that interaction with various programs that we're starting to see and our industry partners that are out in the communities. But it has changed. We're on the cusp of seeing more change, and it's going to be how we communicate to get those information out. And that's our big challenge. People, I can tell you right now, people don't know that Northern Oklahoma College exists. And we've been around for over 100, we're about to celebrate 125 years. And that's not too far off. And so that's a challenge for our rural institutions that we're not within, and as we heard yesterday at our conference that I was at yesterday, I wasn't here yesterday, but we heard that students don't want to travel more than 120 miles from the institution that they're going to. So that institution's got to be in that area and start working with the groups in those areas and those industry partners. Because I'll tell you right now, in Ponca City, America, that we have people that are still saying, I'm going to go work in the same industry that my grandfather and my uncle and my so-and-so has worked in, and I'm happy to tell them that industry may not be here. Whatever that industry It may not be here. And the skill set that you need for that industry, it's not going to be the same. And trying to get that message across to our middle schoolers and high schoolers and our 20-somethings that figure out that they don't want to flip hamburgers anymore is huge. And I've been talking to them, telling them in the face and say, these are the benefits of these companies, here's all of these things, here are the things that are there. But our students are not necessarily, they're still locked into what did grandma do, what did uncle do, what are those things that are going on? And we're faced with that challenge, partially because we're a rural state. And so those experiences in Fairfax, Oklahoma, in Frederick, Oklahoma, they don't get a chance to see those things outside the house. And that is a rural challenge.
So I'll add, and Dr. Hasser already said this earlier on in the panel, it's exposure. The only way we're going to change that and move that needle forward in terms of motivation for students, our middle school students, our high school students, and our college students, right, which is then going to lead to industry, it's truly exposure. I'll speak from personal experience with my own children. It was never a question that my kids were going to go to college, and that's not because I pushed them in that way. It was because they showed up every day, whether they wanted to or not, since I was a single parent on the college campus. So they were exposed to things over and over and over. Sadly, they did not choose engineering, but they still did choose STEM fields, so it's okay. But my point is that it's exposure. So the more that we can get out there, the grant that we heard about yesterday that OSUC has with DOD, and so those opportunities to get out into those classrooms, have STEM camps, have workshops, and have faculty, have industry, and have our current college students and high school students in these events working with these younger students. It changes the vision. It allows them to feel themselves capable. It allows them to see themselves in those positions. And moreover, you gotta make it fun, okay? If it's just talking about, this is what's better for you, you're gonna make more money, they don't care, all right? I mean, should they? Sure, but they don't care. They need to see it as fun. They need to be able to make that solar car. They need to be able to make that cool robot. They need to be able to try things out and enjoy it, tinker with it, explore it. And then that is what changes minds. That is what motivates people.
I would like to add here one more thing. Last year we had from state region something called Full STEM Ahead with the K-12 students, and we also assigned STEM ambassadors to our students, like our undergrad students, to connect them to do outreach with the K-12 students. So if this type of like renewable energy sustainability, K-12 students do not know about this project. So we can train the undergrad student, motivate them to connect them with the K-12 student and being the STEM ambassador for renewable energy sustainability, as you have mentioned, inviting high school students here, connect them with the college students, what they are doing, that is great.
Thank you, and that's exactly what we do at our K-12 STEM, is that we go out to the schools when we are doing the summer camps, and we're doing that literally with kindergartners and the 5-year-olds, and we're doing it all the way up to the 18-year-olds. So if I didn't make that clear yesterday, let me reiterate that is exactly what we're doing, is we're going out to the schools all over the state of Oklahoma and bringing these energies. And also, you see, that little simple task I have on my table is snap circuits, but they're connecting the dots, right? They are connecting and making things happen and making something move. And so that we start with the 5-year-olds.
Yeah, and I think adding on to that, I feel like students are, what you were saying, having students, ITAC students, whenever go talk to high school students, or even younger than that, I feel like students are more encouraged when they find someone that they can relate to. So especially engineering historically has been a very Caucasian, male-dominated field, and I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I'm literally the complete opposite of that. So having someone like me go to community colleges, high school students, and even if it's one student that can relate to me, that's one more person than before I walked into the room. That's one more person that's more interested about it. And I think that's important to just, for students to have someone that they can relate to, that and even like mentorship, like you were saying, someone that they can talk to about, even afterwards, even if I just go there for a day or something like that, to, my email address is there, my office door is always open, my Zoom, my personal Zoom meeting room, I think is just constantly on, for people to stop in and just being accessible, for a range of students.
Thank you everyone for your support and thoughts and suggestions. So we are at the end of this panel session. So thank you everyone.